Hello everyone, the Panda Photographer here, and I want to talk about the color science once again with the Sony. And I just finished watching about 5 videos of some Canon users that brought the Sony A73 and discussed about the color science, and I understand the observation, but here my observation as a real Sony user, been shooting Sony for the last 6 years. And let's talk about the raw files coming from the Sony. Now, if you shot with a Canon, you know that if you shoot RAW with Canon, the Canon's color science is a bit warmer. But what if I was to tell you that the Sony's RAW color science is more of a flat log profile, meaning that the Sony's RAW files are more flat, gives you the more flexibility to add the photo as you imagine or image. Now, take this with a grain of salt, people. I am no professional when it comes down to color science. This is just my observation for the last 6 years shooting with Sony. But I also want to discuss how people are still bashing about this color science on the Sony's new A73 or A7R3 or A7 II and so forth. And let me explain how I think how the color science in RAW, Sony's RAW files work. Everything is flat, okay, meaning that it gives you the flexibility to add every single detail, every single color colored that you can add in your Lightroom or your Capture One. I lost my train of thought there. But on the left you see a RAW file, and on the right you see the edit file. Now some of you may think that, oh well, the one on the right looks more like a Canon because it's much warmer, but no, it's an edit file, because on the left this is the RAW file. Yes, it may look cool, it may look a little dull, but what if it was just like you shoot video in a log profile and you add lux and you add your sharpness, you add your midtones, you add your highlights, you add some depth to the colors and add more pop, well, or vibrance to your video. Well, the same thing with RAW files with Sony is that it's more flat when you shoot with Sony, meaning that the sensor and its ionic sensor or its backlit sensors or whatever sensor that you whatever Sony camera that you have, it is actually programmed to flatten everything out, so it gives you a nice flexibility to add all the color ranges when it comes down to editing your photos. Now, yes, I'm in love with Canon's color science, and I like Canon's color science, but when you shoot RAW with Canon's color science, it's warm, so you have a good idea. And to me, when I'm editing photos with Canon's color science, I don't have to really do much with the Canon's color science. But with the Sony, there's so much you can do with the Sony color science when it comes down to editing RAW files. And as you can see from the left to the right, as my finished photo, you can see that I have done a big change. If you look closely and zoom in, you can see that I popped skin tones, make it a little brighter. You can see this detail in the image. You can see where there is a better range when it comes down to editing your photos in Lightroom or Capture One, whatever software that you're using. To me, I think the Sony's RAW color science is actually better when it comes down to this flexibility to edit every single detail in the photo. Hair, eyes, lips, skin, even the background if you choose to. But you can see that the image is much brighter. You see me bring up the highlights, so you can see me bring a more exposure to the photo. You can see there's more color pop when it comes down to the blues, or with the reds, with the greens, with the yellows. You can see all of that in the image. Like I said, I am no expert at color science representation or telling you, but this is what, and this is how I see it, as I've been using Sony for the last 6 years, using email and email. And I tell you this right now, email it's still development, but I think it's just much better when it comes down to the raw file, because I feel like I have a better option and better flexibility to add what I want with the Sony color science. It may look cool to some of you, but take this with a grain of salt. This is just my observation shooting with Sony. Not a Sony fanboy. I'm not trying to promote Sony. I'm just letting you guys know that a lot of the videos I'm seeing is just missing the point with Sony's raw color science profiles, and everything is much flatter and gives you the much better flexibility to do what you want to the photo. Not saying that you can't do that with Canon, which you can, but I just feel like Sony is going in the right direction and the right approach when it comes down to actually having a real raw file to add at your discretion. I'm the panel photographer, everyone. If you have any thoughts and have any comments, please leave them down in the comments below. If you want to subscribe to this channel, please do. Hit the notification button, share, like, share this with your Facebook group. Let them know that there's photographers out here that think that the Sony's RAW files is much flatter and gives you much flexibility. But with that said, everyone, eat, sleep, photography, videography, and repeat. And I will see you guys in the next video. Guys, take care. Happy shooting.